What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Armaret, and I wanted to talk to you today once again about the NRA. As the title kind of says, stupid or ignorant. Both are kind of harsh, but I kind of want to explore some of the recent actions that they've taken as of late. Some of you may remember I put out a video in response to the press conference that the NRA had, and that I did agree with putting security in schools, though I didn't quite agree with his Wayne LaPierre's blaming of violent video games in the media as 100% the issue with why school shootings happen, and the only way to stop it is by passing out more guns. But what was really bothering me on most recently and in the news was on the anniversary of the school shooting. What did the NRA do? They released a game on the iPhone iPad, and what you're seeing, and what you're currently seeing above, is actual footage from the game. So if you remember in the press conference, they spent the whole press conference talking about how guns and violence in video games actually is what caused the shooting. To mark the anniversary of one of the worst school shootings of all time, they released their own video game in which the whole thing's a target practice. So you have scenes like this in which they're shooting at targets indoors, and then they also have scenes in which they're shooting targets in a grassy field. And it kind of seemed to seem like this big disconnect. How do you go about blaming violence in shooting games for the reason why there's violence and shootings in schools, but yet on the anniversary of one, release your own? It kind of stymies me that how could you not see the irony of this, and how could you not see why people would be upset by this? And not just that they didn't even put an age rating on it. So if you want to buy a Call of Duty, which some people may think is an incredibly violent one, and teaches people how to shoot, it's 18 or up unless your parents buy you the game. However, theirs was open to everybody, and as anybody who has an iPhone or an iPad knows, you can actually put those age restrictions on the video games. Now, the second thing that kind of took me was they recently released a TV ad regarding the president and security for his kids, and let me play that for you right now.
Are the president's kids more important than yours? Then why is he skeptical about putting armed security in our schools when his kids are protected by armed guards at their school? Mr. Obama demands the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes, but he's just another elitist hypocrite when it comes to a fair share of security. Protection for their kids and gun-free zones for ours.
Now, essentially, what this is commercial charges, and it's also one of the talking points that I've heard of over and over again, and it was actually echoed in the comment section of one of my videos, was that it's not fair that the president gets protection for himself and his kids, yet why don't the kids in the schools get afforded the same protection? And there's kind of 2 points to this that I see, and the first one is, first off, he is the president of the United States, and therefore his family is at a greater risk than any other family in the United States. And the second one is, if you think about it on a logical standpoint, and this can come across a bit callous, so stick with me until I finish this. If your kid gets shot or kidnapped, usually what you get is you get a ransom note. We want money, or we're gonna kill your kid. In worst case scenario, the kid is murdered, and it's a horrible travesty. Now, what happens if you kidnap the president of the United States kids? Now, those people will probably push for leverage more than just money, whether it's releasing of political prisoners, whether it's to make a point to get us to back out of a country, to help loosen sanctions on another one, or worst case scenario, they kidnap one of the president's kids for the sole purpose of just murdering it. now what are the repercussions of something like this happening? It's more than just a funeral and some sad parents. You potentially now put the United States in a situation of seeking retaliation for this act in the form of another war. And to me, if you weigh the two, one is much more heavy of a burden on the United States and the people than the other. And not to say that one kid's life is more important than the other, because in the grand scheme of things, they're both kids and their both lives are sacred. It's the ramifications that can come from one are far greater than the other. And the other point behind that is, I've heard people make comments that the president does not care about your kids. And if you think of the one defining message that has been throughout his presidency, is that he is a father, he is a family man first, and almost a president second. And in every major event, or every major speech or political item that he's ever had, one of the first people that he thanks is his wife, and he thanks his kids. And you look at what does his wife do, the First Lady, Michelle Obama. She has spent her entire first 4 years trying to help kids, fighting childhood obesity, fighting childhood diabetes, and trying to make the kids of America, better. And then you look at everything that the president says in almost every interview. He alludes to, being a father and what it means to him to be a father to teenagers, and how it can be rough when his kids don't want to hang out with him anymore. So this notion that he cares, that he doesn't care about your kids is false. I mean, he is a family man to his core, and that's what his belief is. So the notion that the NRA would have you believe that he doesn't care about kids and he doesn't care about you is completely disingenuous and completely disconnected from reality. And the main counterpoint and the main argument they have is, he's coming to take your guns. And at no point throughout any of the discussion and the debates has even the thought of he is going to take, or the government will take your guns, ever come up. Now, the ban on assault rifles has come up, and the ban on high capacity magazines has come up, and what that means is going forward you wouldn't be allowed to buy them. But at no point did they say, we're going to go into your house and take them. And I think that's, one of the bigger concerns of, definitely the NRA, or what they'd have you believe, as well as some of the people maybe on the fringe, is that the government's going to come in, they're going to ban the new guns, take all of your guns, and they're going to leave you with nothing. And that's not the case. And I think once people, realize this notion that they're being, fed, lies and conspiracies, that, their Second Amendment's going to be completely wiped out, I think if you realize that's really not the case, you could see past what the shell game and to what end the NRA is going through all this. And the NRA really isn't out there to protect your rights as a gun owner or my rights as a gun owner. What they are beholden to is gun manufacturers. Now, what you have to remember is everybody in power, whether it be a politician or a lobbyist group, all is beholden to somebody. So politicians are beholden to the people who pay to get them elected, and to us, their constituents. The lobbyists are beholden to the people who are actually giving them the money to lobby, and then ultimately the people who pay the lobbyists are beholden to the shareholders. So their job is to make the people the most amount of money as humanly possible. So it's in the NRA's best interest, who are backed by, the Smiths and Wessons of the world, to not let these bans go through. Because if they let the bans go through, then all of a sudden all the money spent on high capacity magazines is now gone to these weapon manufacturers. All assault rifle money, AR-15s, Bushmasters, all of that money is now gone. Also, if you reduce the capacity of the magazine, you also reduce the amount of bullets that a person needs as well. Therefore, it also takes a hit out of the ammunition people. So when they're up there fighting and lobbying, they're not really fighting for you and your rights. What they're fighting for is for the rights of the company to continue to sell these weapons to you. So don't think of the NRA as this all-powerful, almighty, they are looking out for me, the little guy, they want to keep the Second Amendment strong. What you really need to be seeing is, there is the NRA, one of the largest lobbyist groups in America, fighting not for you and I, but rather fighting for the gun industry, who's really doing nothing more than looking out for the shareholders and the shareholders' value of their dollar. So I guess, you know, back to the title, is stupid or ignorant. Yeah, that is incredibly harsh language, because I'm sure what they are doing is incredibly calculated. But I guess I do ask for just a smidgen of compassion. If you're gonna release this ad, if you're gonna release this game, just don't do it on the anniversary of the shootings. You know, have some decency and just have some compassion. But I'd love to hear what you think about this topic in the comments below, and thank you so much for stopping by.